Let me tell you something. Handcrafted, I will keep that forever.
Meatloaf.
Yeah, aircraft meatloaf. Yeah. So you're right. You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah, it's amazing. Those Grumman guys are amazing. Each one of them had their own little government job on the side.
Right.
You know, making something. Yeah, you know, and then they would barter and trade off. The guy in the welding would weld something for the guy in the sheet metal shop and go back and forth. You know, and they had some little network over there.
Absolutely.
You know, but it's long gone.
Yeah. No, but you know what? We can as ambassadors pass that on, like you said, to your students, to people you work with, to kids in the family, whoever it is. You know, that's I look at that as our job, to keep that stuff alive and at least keep the memory of it alive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because when I'm teaching at Bosie's, you know, I teach the auto body class there, and I teach my class exactly the way I learned. You know, so I'm passing down a lot of the old metalworking techniques that are basically long gone. You know, now in the auto body field, with aftermarket parts, it's a lot cheaper to teach a guy how to remove 7 bolts and slap on a new fender rather than straighten it. And nobody knows how to do metal straightening anymore. So I'm probably the last generation of body men that still kind of do it. Yeah, you know, so I'm definitely teaching my students that as we go along. You know?
Yeah, otherwise it'll become a lost art, and there's still plenty of cars. You can't really do too much on these new recycled beer can cars, but
it's like
you know.
when I took my filler panel for my Pontiac out to my buddy TJ, and with a hammer and a dolly, he had that thing shaped in like 7 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, wow. He's doing a restoration where parts aren't available.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's a lot of available restoration parts now more than ever, but some things just aren't available, and you have to straighten them, you know.
Right.
So you got to take it to an old gray-haired or bald-headed body, and he'll do it for you, you know.
Any of the above, you're right. All right, Steve, we're gonna take a break. I thank you for calling. It's been a while. I know I've been busting your chops every time I see you.
That was very educational.
Yeah. So I'm glad I called. Yeah, and I'm going to go over to the AutoZ and have a little open house.
Okay, feel free whenever you want. Call, or we'll get you in here. You sit with us and do the show live one day.
Oh, that'd be great.
Have some fun. All right, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Oh, that was Steve from the AutoZ and Chase Collision, which was great. And Steve was the guy where I worked on a Camaro over the summer. Steve came down to do a string level on the suspension.
Right.
That was the guy. Steve is a wealth of information, great guy to work with. And you know what? Great guys to work with. I heard, no, we had that already. No, you know what? There was.
That
was the other show, right. I forgot if I did it on this show or that show. You know what? We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and if I have dementia, what the heck? Anyway, Motormouth Radio, keep it where you got it. We'll be right back.
Whoa. These guys are the kings of rock. There is none higher. So cool.
I'm sitting here lonely like a broken man. I serve my time doing the best I can. Walls and bars, they surround me, but I don't want no sympathy.
Come on, everybody, let's sing along with Bruce.
Join me, Kim Tracy, for the music of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on Thunder Road, Sundays at 1 p.m. on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC and on the iHeartRadio app.
It's now easier to listen to the Voice of Nassau Community College on your phone.
Stay connected to your favorite radio station anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app.
Never miss shows like the Nassau Morning Madhouse, It's Saucy, or the Radio Rumble Again.
Streaming 24/7, 365. Listen to WHPC everywhere.
iHeartRadio is radio and unlimited music all in one app.
Listen live now in the iHeartRadio app and at iHeartRadio.com.
Just search for 90.3 WHPC.
Yes, Joe, I do feel good. I do feel all right. Na. Oh, wait a minute.
That's a different.
Oh, that here. Just got to hear this.
That's like 1971.
7102, yes. That is Grand Funk Railroad, Inside Looking Out. There's a couple of versions of that. The live version really kicks butt.
Is that the red? That's the great Grand Funk Live. Yep,
the Red Album. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh that's
my God.
Bada bing.
Did Mark Farner own any shirts in the 1970s?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was like him and William Shatner. Like they never wore shirts.
Right. I know. Well, Shatner was kind of ripped back then. I mean, he was in that kind of. Like when you saw pictures of Charles Atlas in the back of the comic books, or there was another guy, Dan Laurie, who had the Weight Company.
Right.
Those guys weren't ripped like Schwarzenegger became in his career, but they had that solid body.
They had different chemicals back then.
And Shatner, there was I forget, you know the episode where Shatner was he was wrestling. There was another guy, it was a crewmate, and they were wrestling around the room. And he was trying to toughen him up or something, or get him used to the interaction with people. That's what it was. The guy was
Charlie X.
Thank you, Charlie X. Yes, and you do scare me. But
took me a second because I was thinking like 3 other episodes. But okay, so enough of William Shatner without a shirt, and Mark Farner for that matter.
Yeah, it was more that just we go back to this again, of course.
Of course,
this is what's in your head.
Right.
If you listen to your other ear.
Right. It's coming right out.
I know. That's.
Well, no, the other ear is Next Generation.
I just put the mic near your head. Yeah. That was the thing. But yeah, in that episode, I'm like, wow, look at him. And they got, he was in damn good shape.
Yeah.
For a TV and.
There's also like 32. Come on. Give me a break here.
I guess that's
that don't help things. Yeah, that don't hurt things neither,
You're right.
But let's go back to, what were we talking about? Tools? Brand loyalty?
Well, we were talking about the brand loyalty thing, yes. And obviously we all share it. We all have it in different ways. And, I was just, it's just a topic that I think one of those things you can always spark a conversation on.
Sure, sure. Unfortunately, I know I was, as I got more and more into the professional end of things, I tried to stick with the top quality tools. But every once in a while, I mean, especially like some of the stuff I use, you can't, like, a Snap-on test light, I don't know, last I looked, is like $60.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, doing what I do, riding around, or, being in a certain place, in multiple places, they disappear. They get run over. They get caught in all kinds. So
people use them to get pickles out of the jar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could also have like those fish. Spear fishing contests. So it's great. You throw the test light, you reel back. It's like one of that Halloween game too.
Yeah.
But like I buy Harbor Freight test lights. Well, you've been with me.
Sure.
I buy like 3 or 4 of them in a clip for like $5 a piece because it's a test light.
At $3.99. But you're right. You're right.
And I'll use those as opposed to the fancier schmancier stuff. Although I do own. One day we're going to talk more about test lights. I do own fancier schmancier test lights. I do own custom test lights, which really cracks a couple of my mentors up because I originally was like, oh no, you have to use a meter. They're like, but what about a test light? And
does
now,
have its place.
Yes, it certainly does, and especially if once you learn what it is supposed to be doing and what it can do, it's a great tool.
It's like when I talk to people about meters, and I say, not everybody needs it, but sometimes there is a case to have an analog meter with an actual dial sweep instead of a digital.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, there's a time and a place. But to back up, you sparked a memory in me with tools, why I switched to Snap-on tools and other brands. I was investing heavily in Craftsman at the time. This is back in the late 70s. And I had a Datsun 610, which had a independent rear suspension. And I wanted to take those half shafts out to change the U-joints.
Right.
I went home, jacked the car up, got my brand new Craftsman 10mm or 12mm wrench, whatever it was, and went to loosen the nut, and I felt the jaw of the wrench spread. And I said, okay, that gave me a flashback to the year prior when I was putting on or taking off the ladder bars on my GTO. And I had 2 half-inch drive ratchets. One was a Craftsman, one was probably a Proto or a Williams. And I was pushing on one, pulling on the other, laying under the car.
And one of them let go.
And the pulling one slipped, bang, right in, put my tooth through my lip, through my tongue. Of course, my mom comes out with a frozen bag of peas, a piece of pork, spitting blood like a madman. Well, I flashed back to that incident. So I got the wrench on the car. I said, okay, put the wrench down, put it in the thing, got in my car, drove to the shop, the electric shop I was working at. I had keys, opened up, went in, and borrowed the Snap-on wrench set.
Right.
Came home, did the same job without flexing. I said, that's it. Monday morning, who wants to buy some Craftsman line wrenches and regular combination wrenches? That's a sale. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I started buying the Snap-on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are times there are plenty of times, depending on what level you're working at, that the quality tool really shows its
when
shows its colors.
Attack mechanics.
Yes, and I know that both of us have in all kinds of places scars, welts, missing or repositioned.
Yeah, body modification.
Yeah, really.
And neither one of us have any piercings.
I was about to say, yeah, we were body modified before it was cool.
Yeah, I got a couple tattoos, but no piercings or gauges or anything like that. But I look sometimes at my hands. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember what that scar was. I remember the roadmap of my deep scars.
Sure, I mean, there's places on most car guys' bodies have at least a couple of burns, a couple of scars. That you could remember very well where you got it from.
Got bit on the left one and have the scar to prove it.
Yes, that's it. Been there, done that. Got the teeth marks on my left one.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jim, you can break any kind of wrench. Given Jim just shot our Ryan Skyday just shot us a comment. You could break any friggin' thing.
I actually sent an email to Discovery Channel, Fast and Loud. I think it was in their first season. They had a graphic of crossed wrenches, and then they had like a little like a meme thing. It was a wrench on a nut, and it just turned it like 90 degrees.
Right.
But the wrench was upside down. The open end of the joint. Yeah. The wrench is made to be used a certain way, right?
Exactly.
And I wrote to them, apparently enough people did because they fixed it to have the wrench open it, close it in the correct.
Right.
So you know what, car guys, we see that stuff.
Yeah. We're watching you, TV folks.
Oh yeah.
We're going to keep you honest one way or the other. That is assuming that we're either awake or sober enough to actually watch the show.
Catch on demand.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about DVR. You could do playbacks.
Right.
And somebody's unzipping the overcoat again.
Are they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then let's go to the phones and say hi. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey guys, it's Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, I know you can break just about anything if you give it enough force.
Oh yeah.
But I'll tell you, we're talking about brand loyalty and things like that. And of course, the first thing anybody who works on cars is going to get is tools. And everybody back in our day, everybody thought they were Craftsman because the Sears was right there. You went in, they were a quality tool, and the best part was if you broke it, you went back and you got a new one.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lifetime guarantee was huge. Yes.
Yeah, and of course, I don't do nearly as much work on cars as you guys do, but I do know my way around a car, and I did work at a race car shop for a little while. And the funny thing is that, when I was at the race car shop, I was, everybody had Snap-on tools, and I got my stupid little Craftsman box, and I kind of felt, inadequate.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. You had a little bit of envy there, had tool envy.
But there was one point where I finally saved up a couple dollars and said, you know what, I'm going to buy a set of Snap-on wrenches because I got, had the chance to use a couple of the Snap-on wrenches from the other guys. I'm like, wow, these things really are better than the Craftsman stuff I got.
Yeah, it was either buy that or a new transmission for the car, so you figure that price is about the same.
Yeah, right.
Well, I could always push the car, but anyway.
Yeah, true.
I remember like the Snap. I mean, I had Craftsman wrenches, which gave me good service for quite a while.
Yeah.
But the way that they had that raised
section, right,
bump there, which I guess was reinforcement, and after a while, depending on what you were doing, the repetitive motion, whatever, it would dig into your hand. There's the scars we're talking about.
Of course, Joe, I have some Craftsman wrenches that had that. Keyword had. Yes. They're so smooth from being used that it does wear off. So I think of how much that iron goes into your hand.
Right.
Where'd it go, right?
I am Iron Man.
Yeah. I actually had that CD in there, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't play that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, we had quite the backlog, but yeah, no, tools make the as you get along, you definitely want to go with the better quality tool. But It's all
but I was, the one thing I sent you real fast is I had the one, 5/16 combination wrench. I was using the open end, and I'm using it. I'm thinking, well, it's snap-on. That's going to happen. But all of a sudden, snap! I was like, what in the world?
Well, there's the snap part.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, wow, I actually broke a snap-on tool. I kind of feel proud of myself.
Yeah. No, I've seen guys do that. I've seen that one time at the shop where somebody was doing chin-ups with a snap-on ratchet on this particularly tough bolt, and I was like, dude, it's, come on. Yeah, it's a snap-on. It'll take it.
Get the breaker bar.
Yeah, seriously.